One of the seasoned detectives that got there, he said to me, I have never seen a more gruesome scene in all my years. It was that.
On one February afternoon in 2009, in a quiet Connecticut suburb, nature reminded everyone just how dangerous love can be when it is misplaced. It began like any ordinary day. The sky was overcast, a typical winter gray blanketing Stamford, Connecticut. The trees stood bare and still in the chilly February air. Nothing in the atmosphere suggested the horror that was about to unfold, a horror so brutal it would shake the nation and alter the life of one woman forever. Sandra Harold was, by all accounts, a character. 72 years old, a widow who once ran a towing company with her late husband. But what made her stand out wasn't her business or her age, it was her housemate, a 14-year-old chimpanzee named Travis. Travis was not your typical chimp. He had been adopted by Sandra as a baby, just 3 days old, after his mother was shot in a zoo in Missouri. Sandra took him in like a mother would a child. No cage, no outside enclosure, no distance. She fed him at the table, dressed him in shirts and pants, taught him to use a toilet. He brushed his teeth. He could drink wine from a glass, eat steak with a knife and fork, flip through photo albums, and even drive a car. Sandra said she used to sleep with him in bed. People thought it was quirky. Some thought it was sweet. Others, they were quietly uneasy. He is like my son, Sandra would say with pride. He is not an animal. He's family.
Taking rides in cars, I read.
Yeah, he did.
He was able to open doors by himself?
He could drive. He took off with the car a couple times.
Onto the regular streets?
Yeah. Down,
that seems a little
down
dangerous.
Our shop. Well,
Travis was a local celebrity. He had starred in Old Navy commercials, appeared on television shows, and was adored by those who met him until Charla Nash happened.
I cooked for him, I shopped for him, I lived with him.
He played with children, appeared in TV shows, and starred in commercials. However, all that changed on February 16th, 2009.
Stamford 911, where's your emergency?
This is Sandy. What's coming wrong?
What's the problem?
Police. Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friends.
Charla was a soft-spoken, gentle woman. She had known Sandra for years. They had worked together at the Herald's towing company. She was the kind of friend who would come when you called, no matter the errand. She had met Travis before, fed him snacks, patted his head. He seemed tame enough, like a funny, oversized toddler with fur. But Charla had no way of knowing what was brewing beneath his domesticated exterior. On that particular day, Travis had taken Sandra's car keys and wandered outside. Sandra couldn't get him to come back in. Frustrated and anxious, she called Charla for help. "Can you come over, Charla? I need you to help me with Travis," Sandra asked. And like a good friend, Charla came. She pulled into the driveway, stepped out of her car, and walked toward the house. She had recently gotten her hair done, a new style that changed her look just slightly. She was carrying a Tickle Me Elmo doll, a toy that Travis liked. That is when everything unraveled. Travis saw her, and something snapped. In an instant, the chimpanzee charged. He was over 200 pounds, pure muscle, and 5 times stronger than a grown man. He tackled Charla, dragged her to the ground, and began a savage, relentless assault. Sandra screamed. She grabbed a shovel and beat him with it. Nothing. She ran inside, grabbed a butcher knife, and stabbed him in the back. Still, he didn't stop. He is eating her. Sandra sobbed into the phone as she called 911. He is ripping her apart. The 911 call is one of the most disturbing ever recorded.
Stamford 911, what's your emergency?
This is Sandy.
Sandra's voice is shrill, panicked, nearly incoherent. But one thing cuts through, pure terror. Charla wasn't just being attacked. She was being destroyed. Travis focused on her face, her hands, her eyes. He ripped and tore with an almost surgical brutality. He bit off her nose, gouged out her eyes, tore away her lips and eyelids, and ripped off both her hands. The ground around them turned red. And all the while, Sandra watched helplessly, screaming, sobbing, begging, until the police arrived. When the police arrived, Travis ran toward the cruiser. He opened the locked car door himself, covered in blood, and lunged at the officer inside. The officer fired his weapon multiple rounds at Travis before he staggered back into the house, blood pouring from his wounds. He retreated to his room and collapsed, dying in the same place he had once slept like a child. The aftermath. Paramedics found Charla still alive, but only barely. Her injuries were so gruesome, the responders could not even tell if she was male or female. Her face was gone. Her hands were stumps. Her skull had been cracked open. She was rushed to the hospital and placed in a medically induced coma. Over the weeks and months that followed, Charla endured more than most could ever fathom. Dozens of surgeries, skin grafts, reconstruction, and eventually a face transplant in 2011. A double-hand transplant was attempted, but ultimately her body rejected the hands, and they had to be removed. She would never see clearly again, never smell perfectly, never eat normally. And yet, she lived. I do not remember the attack, she later said, softly, through a veil, and I do not want to. The country was stunned. Media swarmed Stamford. The story was on Oprah, 60 Minutes, and every nightly news broadcast.
Back in February, ripped off part of a woman's face, and on today's Oprah Winfrey Show, Charla Nash revealed some of the damage.
You could take the hat off.
Oh, the hat comes off.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So the veil is lifted. You know, many people around the world want to get a picture of you. You're aware of that, right?
did hear that there are a lot of reporters that are getting.
Yeah. Wanted to get a picture of you.
People had questions. How could this have happened? How was it legal to own a chimpanzee in a suburban home? Why hadn't anyone stopped it? It turned out there had been warning signs. Travis had once bitten someone. He had escaped before. Even the state of Connecticut had been warned by animal control experts that Travis was dangerous. Yet nothing was done. Charla later sued Sandra's estate for $50 million and tried to sue the state of Connecticut for negligence. The state ultimately claimed sovereign immunity. They were not liable. Sandra Herold, consumed by guilt and media scrutiny, died of a ruptured aneurysm in 2010, just a year after the attack. Charla Nash never expressed hatred for Sandra or even for Travis. I do not want anyone to think badly of chimpanzees, she said in one interview. They belong in the wild, not in someone's house. This wasn't just a freak accident. It was a catastrophic collision of love and denial. The fatal cost of forgetting that wild things are wild, no matter how well you dress them, feed them, or believe they are part of the family. Sandra loved Travis. She raised him like a child. But love does not change biology. And in the end, the animal inside came out. Charla Nash lived the rest of her life in near darkness, her world forever changed. But in her strength, there was a haunting kind of grace. Between care and control. On that winter afternoon in Connecticut, that line was crossed. And the consequences were unforgettable.
Hi, the name is Frank Chiafari. I've been in the Stamford police for 31 years. And on that particular day, it was the 3 to 11 shift. And I started my day like I usually do. I went into Starbucks. I still remember, I had my espresso, thinking this is a nice relaxed day. What could go wrong? And the radio comes over. There's a monkey attacking a woman. And they go, get there, code 3 means this is serious. So I'm driving up there, and as I'm driving, it's sounding worse and worse. Get there, this is not getting the driveway. I'm pulling in, I find the house, and I see the chimp running around, and the owner of the chimp screaming at the top of her lungs. My friend's on the floor, he ripped her apart. And I saw, and I looked, and without getting into the gory details, it was devastating what this chimp did to this woman.
After what you've been through with this, your friend is in the hospital fighting for her life. Do you still think chimps should be pets?
Would I have done it again? Yes. It was horrific what happened, and I had to do what I had to do. But I'll miss him for the rest of my life.